James Brown is the godfather of soul, and his groundbreaking music has influenced the likes of Michael Jackson and Mick Jagger. Brown invented the funk and even further popularized black pride. His earlier songs produced a feeling of excitement and energy. They could make a crowd get up and dance. He was truly the king of music in his time and had a huge influence over the nation. Malcolm X was a black revolutionary competing with the ideals that Martin Luther King was prescribing. He was a figurehead for pride in black culture, maintaining black racial identity and black nationalism in general, otherwise known as the Black Pride movements. The Black Pride movement influenced James Brown personally, as well as in his music, displayed in many of his later songs. But Malcolm X was not the only revolutionary that had a significant impact on James Brown. Brown's fame peaked in the 60s and launched him to a platform of national stardom. Also during this time, Martin Luther King Jr. was courageously leading the civil rights movement through nonviolent protests. However, on April 4, 1968, the United States faced a devastating tragedy.
Good evening. Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
The nation's leader was gone. The police said that the tragedy had been followed by incidents that included sporadic shooting, fires, bricks and bottles thrown at policemen, and then looting that started in the Negro districts and then spread over the city.
There was shock, there was trauma, and there was fear. There was fear.
Immediately, the country faced devastating riots. There was burning and destruction in major cities all across the United States. The worst were the riots in Washington, D.C., causing the destruction or closing of multiple businesses, deeply hurting the economy. Boston looked as though it would receive the same fate. The mayor of Boston at the time was a young Kevin White.
And the mayor, who had only been in office for a little while, had basically defeated a candidate who, as you saw in the documentary, was, for lack of a better word, we'll call her a segregationist. She was stuck in the past. And Kevin White ran for mayor, wanting to bring Boston into the future, or at least into the present.
White and the city council, who both wanted to bring change, were aware that there was an upcoming James Brown concert and debated whether or not to allow the concert to go on. After the strong urging of Tom Atkins, a black city councilman who strongly supported civil rights, a decision was made to allow the concert to continue and be broadcasted live on the local TV station WGBH. The goal was to keep people inside and away from rioting. However, actually getting the concert on air was going to be a challenge for WGBH personnel.
Back in 1968, it was much harder. You know, the equipment was bigger, it was heavier. Doing any kind of broadcast required a lot of lighting, and we basically, you know, we're under a lot of time pressure because the concert, we knew when the concert was going to happen, and we had to pack up all this equipment, get it down to Boston Garden, try to figure out how we were going to do it. So when you actually look at the broadcast, it is somewhat crude, and the sound isn't that great. But at least, you know, what was important was that we made the connection.
James Brown had a difficult choice to make at that moment in time. Because the concert was going to be shown on TV, Brown would end up losing close to $60,000. In addition, his life was very much in danger, as the slightest spark could cause his audience to blow.
And he talked with my mom about it, and he was, you know, just having conversation with his wife about what he should do, what he should say, you know, when asked about it, and how to approach it. And the one thing I know my mom told him, she said that she told him that, you know, once you start going out and talking about it, once you speak on it, you're going to have to continue to speak on it because they're going to continue to ask you about it. So you have to, just be cognizant, be thoughtful of what you're saying now, because it's gonna go on forever.
His wife was certainly right, as the riots around the country became the worst the nation had ever seen. Even in Boston, people started violent riots, causing some of the worst damage the city had ever faced.
I don't think I can remember another night that was quite as tense as that night.
A friend of mine actually had tickets for the concert, and when he went to the Boston Garden that afternoon to see what was going on, he was told by either a security officer or a Boston policeman to go home and stay home.
Brown took the risk and went out to perform in Boston that night to huge success. The concert opened with a speech by Kevin White and Tom Atkins.
Now I'm here tonight, like all of you, to listen to James. But I'm also here to ask for your help. I'm here to ask you to stay with me as your mayor and to make Dr. King's dreams a reality in Boston.
Even with the threat of chaos, Brown's words were able to soothe the people and keep any destruction from occurring. Even when fans ran on stage, he was able to calmly dismiss them, as he stated,
It's all right, it's all right. Now, I asked the police to step back because I figured I could get some respect from my own people. That makes sense. And all we together win. Hit the thing, man.
and with that his fans exited the stage, returning to their seats, letting James Brown get back to the music.
But I remember waiting for the city to explode, or waiting for some word that there was rioting. And miraculously, there wasn't. I mean, it was amazing to actually sit there and see James Brown work his magic, not only with the audience, but to really say, hey, people, we have to calm down, we have to relax, you know.
In addition, not only did the concert keep those at the event calm and out of trouble, the live WGBH broadcast kept people at home and out of the streets.
So many people saw that broadcast, and so many people were able to continue to see it through the night, in fact, through the weekend. I mean, we kept playing it and playing it and playing it so that people had a chance. I think it had it was an exciting opportunity for those of us to do something that would have a real impact on benefiting the city.
Although it cannot be directly credited for the peaceful night, it is believed that the concert played a central role.
Kind of the broadcast of the concert was the linchpin that night. It wasn't the only reason that the city remained relatively quiet, particularly compared to other major American cities, but it was a vital reason.
So he was able to be a voice for the people, to try to stop all of the riots and to be a calming voice, a voice of reason for people to say, hey, listen, let's step back and look at this thing differently and do it differently and truly honor Dr. King by nonviolence.
After his increased involvement in the battle for civil rights, James Brown's music took a turning point as he started to bring awareness to the prejudice faced by African Americans. His songs started to focus on African American pride and empowerment.
The song Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. And he took a whole different level. I mean, he even changed his hair. Before that, you would know that he wore what they call back then the process hair. It would be nice and straight or curly. And then after he made the song, he went back to the afro. And the reason he did that is because he wanted to identify with black people to show that he was not afraid of being black. He was not scared of being black. He was proud of being black. And everybody else that was black should be proud to be black.
The direct lyrics of Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud are, but I say we won't quit moving until we get what we deserve. We have been bucked and we have been scorned. We have been treated bad, talked about as just bones, but we can't quit until we get our share. It can be clearly seen that James Brown is putting a focus on the importance of black equality and justice. He goes on to refer to black independence and pride, singing, we're people, we're just like the birds and the bees, we'd rather die on our feet than be living on our knees. This is a clear mirror of the influence of Dr. King as well as Malcolm X, shown by how he incorporated the summarized stances of both respectively mentioned directly into his lyrics. And in addition, Brown was able to accomplish all this during one of the most turbulent times the nation had ever faced.
There was a real strong feeling that the country was kind of falling apart. It was coming apart at the seams. It was very troubling, very disturbing.
But James Brown was able to unite the country through his music and his influence.
Dad was a giver. Yes, he gave materialistically. Yes, he gave monetarily. But he gave his life. He gave his soul to the music industry. He gave people opportunity that they would have never had.
Despite dozens of deaths in 100 of the United States' major cities, Boston was able to remain at peace with the help of the music and inspiring words of James Brown, even after he continued to be a leader for the civil rights movement. Brown will be forever memorialized through his work, his influence of peace, and his legacy.
The Boogaloo. Funky chicken. The old James Brown. Mashed potatoes. And camel walk. I did this in the Tammy show.